Welcome to another episode of The Focus. As always, man, wish you guys can hear fun times before these mics go hot. So Octavia, yes, it's going to be a petty day once we get to the NFL segment.
I'm not, I promise.
As you guys saw, how we started up the show this week, open practice highlights. So let's just do this every year. This year was school training camp was held at their new, beautiful facility. We've told you guys already how nice it is in there. So it was cool to get out. A good number of fans showed up to enjoy the new building. You got to see some of the depth on the roster, the youngsters, the athleticism. In the Wizards segment, we're going to talk a little bit more about the first preseason game, how that went last night. Also, as we already know, that Octavia's NFC East segment, which the petty's going to be fun.
It's not. I'm not going to be petty.
I am. My mic's going to stay on.
So you speak for yourself.
I am. This is going to be fun. All right. And also DC United. We talked, past couple of weeks about how important, this stretch is right here as they close the regular season. Statement win. We'll get into that a little bit later. But most importantly, our guest tonight, we are joined by Amanda Bates Baker, the head coach of Langley High School girls varsity basketball team. So welcome.
Thank you. Ooh, thanks for having me.
That's great. I'm not too social. But you're here. We saw everyone who's followed us on social media. We're looking forward to. We got a nice stretch of guests. You kicked that off, so thank you for joining us this evening.
Thanks for having me.
All right, so we got a bunch of questions. We're gonna get started early in your career at South County. One of your duties as an assistant coach, one of your roles was to scout the opposition.
Mm-hmm.
For you now as a head coach, looking back, how has that helped your development as a head coach? With that duty that you had earlier of scouting opposition, which is kind of a big part now.
Well, it gives you a sense of what's important. As an assistant, I could go scout, and if I made mistakes as far as the information the head coach was looking for, she could highlight like, hey, it would have been more helpful if maybe you captured this information. So next time I would go scout, I would have a better sense, I need to be watching these details. And then I started to, as I would become a head coach, applied that lessons learned. So I would go scout, and it wasn't just enjoying the game. It was, all right, I'm looking for these key factors. I need to be able to leave this game knowing these things about their key players. So it helped a lot.
Okay, we've talked a lot here just in the past couple of years, both on the professional level and the collegiate level with women's basketball, the state that we're in, especially with the evolution of these athletes. The game's getting a lot more fun now. We're seeing bigger players that can do a lot more. We're seeing guards with a whole bunch more athleticism. How does that trickle down to the high school side of things?
Yeah, well, just to echo, I was telling Cardell before the show started, we went and saw one of the semifinal games for the Mystics versus the Dream, and it was at GW, and you're so close. It's like, wow, these women are incredible. I remember watching games on TV, but it's just amazing how athletic and talented they really are now. And it is trickling down. I think high schoolers can do a lot more than maybe we were expected to do when I was in high school. You had one star and a couple complementary players, but now you've got to have 5 good players to be competitive and to really win. And so there's more interest in it. There's more opportunity to develop your game outside of the high school season because of the impact the WNBA and college basketball has had on high school.
Okay, one of the questions I wanted to really ask you was, when you become a new coach, especially when you inherit in a program that may not have been used to winning, it's tough to not just establish, X's and O's for the players, but what's tougher is to establish a culture, a winning culture. So can you explain how tough that was from the start when you first got the job at Langley?
Sure, that's very accurate, especially being my first head coaching job, and I was 24 at the time, so I had ideas of how players should act and how they should do these things that I asked them to do, and I wasn't really looking in the mirror at what I needed to do to prove to my team that I'm somebody that is worth listening to. So it took me a few years to figure out what motivated them, what were factors that meant something to them, not just to me. And so having that back and forth was huge. And sometimes it takes one player to really buy in to get the rest of them to follow. And I think Paige Galliani, who graduated a few years ago, she's at Lehigh now, she was kind of that player for me where she didn't question things, she just kind of did what I asked, and people saw like, all right, well, she's a good player, she's listening, maybe I should listen too. So she's someone I think about a lot, and I think she's a big reason why I've been able to kind of find my voice and find what works for me, and then I could confidently express it to the team. So having your best players in your corner makes a big difference.
You played at Mary Washington, where y'all routinely went deep in the NCAA tournament, which is very hard to do, especially at the D3 level, where it's not like at large big, so to speak, unless you win your conference. How was that experience, winning year in, year out, the details, the work that goes in, the preparation? How does that help you now as a coach when you're teaching, your players?
Sure. Well, that was the first time basketball was really like year-round for me. I think in high school I did some AAU, but it was kind of like on the weekends. You practice once in a while during the week, and then you had your high school season. But in college, it was, all summer you're working out, like you're lifting. I mean, I didn't get huge, but I was lifting. You're always shooting, getting ready for the season, and when you get back on campus, it's every day, and you're just really dedicated. So I think understanding that it takes a year-round effort, and it takes a lot more than just the practice time coaches set aside. Like, you have to be willing to find that time on your own. So just a better appreciation for the amount of time and effort it really takes to be good. And then, learning from my coach at that time, she was very detail-oriented, so being able to take the details that she emphasized to us and apply it in my coaching, it's been helpful, very helpful.
Was coaching something you always envisioned yourself doing, or was it just something that came maybe in college later on?
No, I can't say it was like a childhood dream or anything. Even in college, I didn't really think about it a lot. But when my playing career was wrapping up, I knew I wanted to do something. I figured I would do like adult leagues or be around the game somehow. But when my high school coach just happened to get the South County job, Chrissy Kelly, and she was looking for help, and it sounded like something I would enjoy. So I was like, well, let me see what this is all about. And once I got in there, it was just very natural fit. It was something I enjoyed immediately. And now I just can't imagine not doing.
Mm-hmm.
So no, not a passion at first, but it's something I grew to love by taking a chance on it.
Okay. Langley, y'all have regional district championships, been to the state semifinals, been a state finalist. Only thing missing is the state crown.
Mm-hmm.
From the coaching aspect, what must be done to try to achieve that?
Oh man, I think experience in those late game situations as a coach, it's something every year I benefit from throughout the regular season, and then those postseason close games. It's only going to help me as a coach in the future be more prepared, like having more situations to fall back on. Those 2 state finals that we didn't win, I think about all the time, like probably on a weekly basis. It just kind of pops into my mind. I'm eating breakfast. So I'll learn a lot from it, and hopefully, if we get in a situation where we're down 1 with 3 seconds like we were in this most recent finals, I'll know what to do. I probably couldn't draw it on the board right now, but I think when the time comes, I'll be ready.
Okay. All right. We've had a few coaches been on the show from all levels. And one thing I like to ask them is, what is their criteria for evaluating a player? Because every coach is different, what they value as far as, not just talent, characteristics and all that, how hard they work and everything. What are some where you maybe in the gym, like, that's a player I would love to coach?
This is kind of an odd one, but maturity. I like a player that, doesn't put their head down. They don't have a bad attitude. They understand, like, if I mess up, I can make up for it another way. A lot of the intangibles stand out before tangible stuff. And then once you see, like, oh, that kid knows what she's doing, like, oh, she can score. All right, she can play both ends of the floor. So it's kind of a process to evaluate attitude first, and then you start looking at scoring and defense and all the important stuff. And when you see somebody that can do it all, that's when you start to get excited.
Well, at Langley, do y'all recruit, or is it just y'all pick from the student body?
Student body, yep.
Hey, that 66% winning percentage, that's crazy from that. That's some respect. I'm sure you saw the conversation this summer with the WNBA, this season-long conversation as far as, the players saying we need better pay, better resources, not just for us as pros, but overall in the women's game, all the way down to, girls starting out to play basketball. You being a former player, being a coach now, what are your thoughts on that conversation? Do you agree with them, or do you feel like some of it is not justified? What are your thoughts?
Well, I definitely think that they deserve a lot of recognition, and I think the recognition's coming. Mm-hmm. So hopefully with the exposure and, the NBA really backing the league and getting more games on TV, the money will be there to hopefully compensate them properly. Do I know what the fair number is? No, but I do think it probably needs to be more than it is now. And reading a little bit about, like, when Las Vegas was supposed to come play here and they had that terrible flight situation, like, that's just unbelievable. A professional team has to deal with those circumstances. So I don't have a great answer, but I do think the players are making some good points, and I hope that the league listens and it has a positive impact on the future of the league.
Okay. My last question for you is, the season is near. What should we expect from Langley this upcoming season?
It's going to be a different look. Graduating Jordan Callahan, who is a 4-year point guard, somebody that basically never came off the floor, that's a lot of minutes that someone else is going to be taking, and it's a critical position. So, trying to replace that's going to be huge. But we have a lot of seniors, so it'll be a lot of new faces maybe to the outside world, but to us, these are kids that have been putting in time for the last 4 years, just kind of waiting for their chance. So I'm excited to see what they do, but it might take a little bit of learning, some hard lessons up front, maybe a couple losses that teach us an important lesson that we can apply in the postseason. But I feel good about our chances for being in the hunt, especially for another district championship.
Okay.
Well, Cardell, you talked a lot about the women's game, and I always look at it because, like, when I was in high school, I felt like, we didn't get enough attention, or, a lot of people overlooked us. Why do you think that, a lot of people, I don't want to specify for a certain type of people, but why do you think a lot of people don't give a lot of women, the attention that they deserve, whether it's at the college level, the professional level, or the high school level?
I think there might be an element of flash that the women's game doesn't have, as far as like dunking and these explosive plays. So to the untrained eye, it may not look as exciting, but to somebody who understands like the precision and detail that these women are executing, it's fun. So I think you just have to understand that, we're not going to maybe in the next couple years have women throwing down windmill dunks, but to see the competitive nature of these games and the way that they're so close, and the shot making has really improved. I think it'll get there. It's unfortunate that not everybody can see it, but I can't fault them if they don't know the game that well.
Right. And the only other thing I was wondering was, so like you said, you started coaching when you were 24 as a head coach, and now time has evolved. Do you think that, is there one thing that stands out in your mind that you feel like you may have changed since you first started as opposed to now going into another season?
I think I communicate a lot better with the players. Early on, I assumed that they knew a lot of things, and I'm like, how do they not know this? Like, they're on varsity. But I forget that, some of them are 14, 15 years old, and maybe they haven't heard it before. So, communicating to them the purpose of a drill, the purpose of, why we talk about these really small details and why they add up. So not just doing things, knowing that a lot of thought went into what I'm asking them to do. And they don't know unless you tell them. So I think communicating's been a big change.
All right, have you had your first opening since you've been coaching where you caught yourself kind of channeling one of the coaches you heard as a player?
I think at first, when I was trying to find what my own voice was, I was stealing a lot of other people's quotes, a lot of other people's ideas. So maybe in my first few years, it was kind of, the noise in the back of my head, but now it's more, I think of examples. Okay, I remember when Brad Stevens called a timeout here, and he drew this up. So drawing on inspiration, but not necessarily repeating what I heard before.
Okay, and then lastly, we've talked a lot about the women's game, and I love what you said about the untrained eye and some of their opinions due to them having an untrained eye. You find it somewhat ironic that, looking at the NBA a little bit, where, the team that's been dominating the league is kind of, for the most part, from a skill standpoint, typically what we see in women's basketball, where all 5 players can pass, rebound, and or shoot, then multiple positions. Do you find it kind of funny, the irony of that?
Well, with you saying that now, yeah, it makes me smile for sure. And I think about this last playoffs with the WNBA and just the shot making. It was crazy, like Diana Taurasi and all the threes. And I mean, that's essentially what Golden State is doing, just raining threes. So if you can appreciate it from one gender, I don't see why it's any different from the other.
Oh, one more question for you. From a coaching aspect, because I cover a lot of basketball, and Justin's at a lot of basketball. He'll text me saying he did. I look up in the stands and see you right next to him. How much work is put in as far as like in the off season where you actually go to games to learn more to help you when your season comes to be able to coach your players better?
I definitely like to get out and watch games. Getting to see players like AZ Fudd, I mean, what an opportunity to see some of the best players in the country. So Justin and I do go see a decent amount of games, and when scouting opportunities present themselves, we do fall league as a team, rising freshmen, but I'm really big on film. Kind of weirdly, I'll watch games from like a couple years ago just to relive what happened in different situations, scenarios, so I'm definitely a film junkie. But with a small child, it's hard to get out as much as I would like to all these games. But we pretty much have basketball on in the background at all times. And one of her first words was "bad ball." So I mean, it's in our house a lot. But yeah, it's awesome that this area has so much opportunity to go watch and so many great players.
Do you study all basketball? Is it just specifically women, NBA, WNBA, college, pro, or you just try to learn something from every level, as much basketball as you can?
I mean, as much as I can, but interestingly, I feel like in the last few years, it's been a lot more professional level stuff. I used to be a huge college basketball fan where I'd watch all the ACC games on the men's side, some when the women's games were on. But recently, I think just because I'm drawn to some of the coaches in the league, like Brad Stevens and Popovich, like getting to watch their film on YouTube and break down some of their quick hits. So I watch more NBA because it's out there, but when the WNBA season's on, we had it on pretty much every night. Just games are on, just easy to turn it on and watch. And maybe I'm not like detailing all their plays, but just watching and appreciating sometimes is nice too.
All right. Anybody have any more questions? Well, thank you so much for coming in. We wish you continued success and hope you guys get over the hump.
Me too.
This year.
Thank you so much, and for all you guys are doing for women's basketball and giving public school a chance to kind of talk about what we're doing. So I appreciate it a lot.
No problem.
I love
No
public school.
problem. All right, folks, that was Amanda Baker, the head coach of Langley High School girls varsity basketball team. You're watching the Focus TV. We're going to take a quick break, and when we get back, a lot of petty time as we enter Octavia's NFC East segment. This might take a while this week.
It's not.
Because Mike's going to stay on the whole time, and there's so much to talk about. Marcus Mariota, can't guard the six on third and forever.
Hey.
I told you what this was going to be.
It's not though. We're not going to do that this week. Everybody lost.
Hey, look, I got a question though.
Oh, no, everybody, see, I ain't saying that.
Just real quick, I got a question.
Did everybody lose?
I tell you.
Did your team lose?
I tell you, I got a question.
Hey, did your team
I
lose?
got a question. Though.
I'm listening.
Answer my question.
I'm listening.
I got one question.
I'm listening.
What 5-year vet doesn't know how to guard the sticks?
Listen to me. Go to commercial.
Let's take a quick break. We'll see you guys on the other side. You're watching the Focus TV. Welcome back to the Focus TV. As I told you, Octavia kindly asked us to hurry up to commercial. We are back. The floor is yours. My mic stayed on the whole time. This week.
Really? Your mic usually does not stay on during this
I am
meeting.
fully engaged with this week's NFC segment. Let go.
They let the Redskins get in first place. What is going on?
Well,
This
hey,
is
hold on.
hell has frozen over,
On
man.
your week off. How you take it on your week off?
Man, they got Craig and Friday out here, man.
Why are y'all ganging up on me?
On your
Bro?
day off.
No, we ain't gagging up on you.
This
How you take control of a division on your day off?
Hey, man.
But continue, I'm sorry.
And we're back. That was my break to myself for a second. So this week in NFC East, you already know my team lost listening to them, but I'm going to go in order. of the standings in the NFC East. So the Giants, who are now 1-3 on won the division, played the Saints this week. Giants fell to the Saints 33-18. Their next game is going to be against the Carolina Panthers. Eli Manning, 31 of 41, 255 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 fumble. Saquon Barkley, 10 carries, 44 yards, 1 touchdown, 6 receptions, and 56 yards. Sterling Shepard, 10 receptions, 77 yards, and 1 touchdown. And Odell Beckham, 7 receptions, 60 yards, 1 carry for 10 yards. So it's kind of a repetitive thing with the Giants this year so far. They're still having the same problems game after game. Once again, this is another game where they haven't made it over the 20-point mark. They haven't scored over 20 points in like their last 23 games. So it's either that or it's 30. It's between 20 and 30. I can't remember now, but it's a lot. Odell Beckham still hasn't had that breakout game yet. He was held very much in check this week. Like I said, with the 7 receptions, although they were for 60 yards, he did have one really big gain. And he did have a little bit of dehydration this week. He had to leave the first half a little bit early and went to the locker room to get an IV. But the bright spot still is Saquon Barkley. He's doing everything that he can do, running the ball, receiving the ball, catching the ball, trying to do everything that he can do, but, can't do it alone. Although Sterling Shepard did step up and have a big game this week, it still wasn't enough for them. Defense held on for as long as they could. Although, we know how the Saints go with Drew Brees and Alvin Kamara. They did keep them from the end zone in the first half, holding them to 4 field goals in the first half. But, defense gets tired after a while, especially staying on the field as much as they did. So it was kind of hard, for them to win this week. So like I said, next week it doesn't get that much easier next week, with another NFC South team with the Panthers. So we'll see how that goes for them. Next, I'm going to go to my Eagles, who are now 2-2. 0-0 in the division because we have not played anybody in the division. Played against the Titans this week, lost 26-23 in overtime. Carson Wentz, 33 of 50, 348 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 fumble. Jay Ajayi, 15 carries for 70 yards. Alshon Jeffrey, 8 receptions, 105 yards, 1 touchdown. And Jordan Matthews, 1 reception, 56 yards, 1 touchdown. Like we've already stated, it was a very big loss just off the strength of, seeding in the NFC East. They win. They're on top of the division. Now they're in third. So it's a big loss. Still have a lot going on. You can see the defense is struggling as a whole. The defense has been kind of suspect on the road. That's usually the Achilles heel right now. Secondary is always right now that part of the defense that is the Achilles heel. And it doesn't help that Rodney McLeod is also out for the year. So somebody has to step in and fill his shoes. Right now it's not looking good. Like I said, Darren Sproles was still out this week. They tried to replace him with Wendell Smallwood. He had a couple of okay runs, but his biggest issue is he can't block. So without him blocking, that continuously puts Carson in harm's way, who was sacked, I believe, 4 times this week. So, it's a lot of things that need to go right. Although a bright spot coming back for Alshon Jeffrey, he did try to, do as much as he can, like I said, with 105 receiving yards on 8 catches, 1 touchdown. And then, as I stated the last time we were here, Jordan Matthews did return to the team. Although he only had 1 catch, it was for a touchdown, 56 yards. So next week doesn't get any easier. I'm going to play against the Vikings next week. And, the Vikings have a bone to pick with us anyway. So, that should be interesting. Going on to the Cowboys, who are now 2-2 in the division, also 1-0. 2-2 in the their record is 2-2. They're 1-0 in division. They played the Lions this week. They squeaked out a win, 26-24 over the Lions. Their next game is against the Titans. Dak Prescott, 17 of 27, 255 yards, 2 touchdowns. Zeke, 25 carries, 152 yards, 4 receptions, 88 yards, 1 touchdown, Cole Beasley, 4 receptions, 53 yards. So in a thrilling game because, I didn't watch the whole game, but just seeing all the highlights and everything, Golden Tate was out there doing his thing. You know, he probably tried everything that he could possibly do to win that game. So I know he's probably upset that they lost that game with as much work as he put in. But, you know, the big thing with the field goal as time expired, especially with a lot of the off-season situations when the Cowboys didn't release veteran kicker Dan Bailey, a lot of people were kind of like, I mean, I know he hasn't been the best in the past couple of seasons, but he's a vet. He always usually gets it together. So for them to release him and to pick up rookie Brett Mayer, who was the one that kicked the winning field goal. So, you know, right now it seems like it's working out for them in that aspect. Defense is starting to pick it up, especially DeMarcus Lawrence, who had all 3 of the sacks for them this game. He hit Matt Stafford 3 times, and I'm sure Matt Stafford is tired of seeing him. And then, of course, Elliott with his first really big breakout game since last year's on and off court battle, suspension, not suspension situation. A lot of people were saying that he has been underused so far this year. And with this game, with 25 carries, you know, 4 receptions, you can see that changed, and you can see how that changed the game for them. So look forward to seeing him probably get more touches next week. And, you know, they play the Texans next week. It should be a winnable game for them. They should win that game. But you never know in the NFL nowadays. And lastly, Redskins, not much to talk about just because they were on a bye this week, but they are 2-1, 0-0 in the division. Their next game is against the Saints. They're coming off of a bye week where they did beat the Packers, you know, so things are looking well for the Redskins. They are number 1 in the NFC East. That's what you guys are looking at me to say. So I said it. If you didn't notice, I went in order from the bottom to the top. So they are last this week, which means they're first in the NFC East. They play the Saints next week. They should be well rested after having a bye, and then they don't play till Monday night primetime in the Superdome. So this should be a good game. It's a good test for them to see if, you know, how they've been playing so far this year is actually the team chemistry and how the team is going to work out this year. Because we know the Saints, especially Monday night primetime at home, it's going to be a good one. So I'm looking forward to seeing that. And I am done.
You know, Redskins fans walking around talking about we going to the Super Bowl now.
I'm sure they are.
See, all y'all fault.
How is it our fault?
If y'all just win, yes. If y'all just win,
really. I thought this was going to go a lot different this week. My team lost. Everybody's team lost. I just thought that we would all be friends, kumbaya in a circle, you know. And it's not what's happening right now. And I don't know how I feel about it.
Fly,
and I'm still going to say fly Eagles.
Y'all going to the playoffs? That's all.
Yeah.
Y'all win the division?
Yeah.
Oh.
The confidence there.
Ooh. What you want me to say? Nope.
I mean, you know.
Nah, bruh, we're going to get it together. We haven't, you know, we still haven't hit, you know, everybody's still trying to figure out what's going on. Offense wasn't really together that much in the off season. A lot of injuries, a lot of things happen. You know, although Carson is progressing really well, you see that he's still very mobile with that big knee brace on. And as long as he keeps progressing, the team gets it together, we stay injury free, we'll be fine. I'm not worried.
All right, so what bothered you more when dude gave up all those yards guarding Casper Friendly Ghost on that 3rd and forever, or when Corey Davis caught that ball over that little person standing right there?
Probably both.
Probably both? There's not one that was more?
No, I didn't like any of it. I really didn't. And what makes it worse is, so it was hard for me to watch a lot of games this weekend just because I was out of town. So literally in the car on the way back, I had my iPad and I'm just sitting there like this.
Oh, so you couldn't watch it?
So no, I mean, like I'm watching the game on my iPad in the car, like just like tuning everything out. We're sitting there like, I was like, don't talk to me. It's not going good right now.
He already checked out the season.
Oh yeah, he's done. You know, he ain't rocking with the NFL for the rest of the season.
Okay, my question was with the injury to Rodney McLeod, were you surprised that y'all didn't be a little bit more aggressive on the Eric Reed front? Seeing that that's somebody as a former Pro Bowl safety, you know, like Carolina, even though it took forever, but, you know, they had injuries in the secondary. Mm-hmm. And, you know, both you guys had injuries in the same.
I mean, I'm not surprised because I feel like Peterson is kind of content with the players that he has,
Right.
and we went through a season-ending injury last year with somebody,
Right.
you know, and they were able to pull it together, pull people in, and people were able to step up and do what they have to do. So I'm thinking that's the same thoughts that they're thinking this year, that people just have to step up. But, you know, it was just a week ago. They still need time to kind of, you know, they weren't getting first-team reps before.
Right. Do you like
So.
the person behind him though? Like I guess that's what it comes down to. Is like I understand what you're saying with, you know.
I mean, to be honest, like for me, I always felt like our secondary was the weak point.
Right.
You know, as great as Jalen Mills is, you know, everybody knows how to beat him.
Yeah, it's public knowledge.
Exactly. So, the one person that you can pretty much always depend on right now is Malcolm Jenkins back there. But, you know, I feel like that it's going to be a by committee thing for them all year. They're going to have to help each other out as much as possible throughout the year to get through it. It's doable because they did it last year, you know what I'm saying? And although Rodney McLeod has like turned into a really, really good player for us, the impact of losing Darby last year to me was worse than losing McLeod.
I agree with you.
So the fact that they were able to hold it together with him, I think they'll be able to this year. Now that we have Darby, he's healthy, he'll be there. They just got to figure it out.
I'm definitely with you. That's why I just wanted to ask because, you know, everyone always says the next man up thing until you find out the next man and you like,
Yeah.
I mean, you get it in theory,
yeah, but I'm just
but
saying like.
it's not always. There's a
It-
reason why they're backup, second, third string.
Exactly, because we went through the same thing with I can never say this man named Vaitai Halulu Party him.
Right.
You know, with as when he had to replace when Justin Peters was out. So you know, it takes sometimes, like you said, you got that next one up, but sometimes they're not already up to snuff. So they need some time to kind of get in. Like I said, not really getting first team reps and realizing like, hey, you're really here. Like you have to do this thing now. But I think it'll take time. It'll take a little time. Like even you sit there and talk about Nick Foles last year when he came in. It was horrible when he first came in. It took him time to kind of get warmed up again, and you see what's happened after that. And then what happened again this year. So it'll work itself out. I think it'll be a very, very good race between the NFC East this year. Outside of the Giants.
Who do you think is the top contender to battle for the division with you guys? Do you feel like it's Washington?
Right now, I think it's Washington. I really do. I think the Cowboys have a good chance of if everything continues to go up for them. They have an awesome defense. If Dak is able to get back to the Dak that everybody loved when he first came into the league, and if they don't stop underusing Zeke as much as they had in the past before this previous game, I think they have a really good shot because Dak is amazing. DeMarcus Lawrence is everywhere. I still think that their Achilles heel too is their wide receivers. I don't think they have great wide receivers, so Zeke is going to have to do more unless somebody really steps up for them. Like I've never really cared for Cole Beasley that much. I feel like they tried to make him into like Miles Austin used to be for them, and I just don't think that he's that person. But outside of that, those two, I mean, I really don't fear the Giants right now. But at the same time, the Giants could get it together. We say this every year. Saquon Barkley could, if he could put that whole franchise on his back and run down the field, maybe. And if Odell comes back to form after the injury, because right now it's like everybody knows, and he's not getting the receptions. He's not getting enough free space to really do much. So that's what I say. Like I feel like it's still wide open. I still feel like it could go down to the wire, but I'm interested to see how it goes. Of course, I'm gonna say my team is gonna come out on top because I ain't no punk. So.
All right, like my only thing is I guess one last two comments on the division I find interesting. I think I said the Redskins winning 10 games this year, so I'm interested to see that they continue that. But also with the Giants, I want to see when they go ahead and go to my man Kyle Lilletta to see if they get this offense right because Odell was open a lot. He's been open each and every week. It's not an Odell thing. It's not a Sterling Shepard thing. The offensive line is bad. It's not a Saquon thing. It's an Eli thing.
Sure.
I feel like ever since last year when he got benched, I think it's in the back of his head every time he plays. Like, am I coming to that end of my career time? Do they still believe in me? So sometimes I feel like he tries to overcompensate for that, and it's just not working out because you can't hit. Odell can catch almost anything, and the fact that he can't catch what you're throwing right now is a little bit concerning, especially after last year somebody somewhere had to be like, we gotta sit Eli down. And the fact that they even had that thought, you know, although the same coach, it's not the same coach or anything like that, but it's still there. There still has to be some people there that's still like, oh, I don't really know about Eli right now. You know, you can't take anything away from him from what he's done in the past, but I'm the first person to say, like, the past is the past. Like, when people always tell me, like, y'all didn't do this, y'all haven't done that, like, that's great. Even with me now with this whole, like, the Eagles won the Super Bowl last year, that's great. I don't care about that no more. Yeah, right now we the reigning Super Bowl champs, but what are we doing this season? I don't really care about what happened last year or the season before or when you won the championship 10 years ago, because we talking about what's going on right now. So Eli, he's got to feel the pressure. He's got to, and I really think it's getting to him in the back of his head. Like he's feeling the pressure.
You know, he feeling the pressure.
Yeah, because he's getting hit every day. Because I think he
much.
got sacked like 4 times too. Like pretty much all the quarterbacks in the NFC East this week really got lit up as far as sacks. I think maybe Dak was like the one that probably maybe only had 1 or 2.
He got the best line.
But which is true. So he only had like 1 or 2, but the rest of them been getting eaten up left and right. And you think about it, y'all not even playing like division games yet. Like there's only been 1 division game so far with the Cowboys and the Giants. You got all these division games coming up soon. You know, you don't want to put yourself behind the curve before you even get there. So it's going to be really, really interesting.
Definitely will be. Thank you for a great NFL segment this week.
Patrick Mahomes, we gonna see you in Kansas City, baby. We can get back.
I'm telling you, like, I'm being really honest. Like I really didn't think y'all was. I swear to God, I'm not even trying to be funny.
I'm looking at the schedule. It's looking ugly.
I really thought y'all was gonna win. I'm being completely.
I might go
honest.
0-4. I'm trying to be like 2-10 out them. Look, hey.
All right, man. We're gonna take a quick break, but before we do, as always, we got 9-4-50 Jamal Hayward. This is what he has for us this week. This week's breakdown. This week, it's about doing the retreat dribble correctly on a hard edge coming off a screen. Again, doing a retreat dribble correctly on a hard edge coming off of a screen. You watching the Focus TV, and we'll see you guys on the other side of the break. Welcome back to the Focus TV. All right, so DC United. We're going to get started with that this week. As we told you at the top of the show, very, very big win. But all right, I'm going to try to paint this picture while you guys take a look at these highlights. Huge stakes with the postseason implications on the table. Black and red, as I told you earlier, 5-0 win. So they didn't, edge out the Impact. They won one, man. That was a big win at home. So in the 16th minute, Luciano Acosta and Yamil Assad, they combine for a quick 1-2. After that combination, Lucho takes a touch. He beats the keeper to the far post. Billy Meade, you guys been telling me, you've been hearing me say this time and time again since he came back. It's like having an elite shot blocker back there. And in soccer, that you can't put a price on one of those. He was huge for the home side all night, answering the bell time and time again. Since Rooney's been here, Cardell, I've said this over and over again, you've yet to see this man officially get in his bag. That time came on Saturday night Assad wins the possession, gets the ball to Luciano Acosta. He plays it into space for Rooney. This is where you see the KG vet right here. He used a step over to line up a shot. The defender thinks, oh, he slowed down, I can get back. Nobody. He used the hesitation to allow you to catch up so you can kind of block the goalie's vision. Also, the keeper moved away from the near post. Rooney after the keeper moved away, Rooney fires a shot into the now vacant space. In his 60th minute, Russell Canals blocked the pass, and the ball just happens to land at the feet of Wayne Rooney. He buys some time, dribbling to his right, and places a beautiful through ball to Luciano Acosta. Lucho brings it in, takes a couple of touches towards the goal. The keeper has to come off his line. He's now in no man's land. Acosta fires a pinpoint pass to a running Areola, who just had to make contact. It's 3-0 at this point. Paul Areola wasn't done. He got his brace in the 77th minute. A brace, for those of you not really knowledgeable in soccer, that's 2 goals in the game. This is goal number 2 for Paul Areola. Acosta beats several defenders. The ball seemed to get away from him. I can't tell if it got away from him or it was a pass, but either way, it worked out pretty well. Areola makes a break on the ball. The keeper's coming out. Paul gets there before the keeper, chips the ball over the goalie. It's now 4-0. Acosta looking for Areola yet again in the 81st minute. Again, another quality through ball. This time the keeper's like, you're not going to get me like you got me before. I come off the line. This is outside of the box. A nice slide tackle, really clean. Paul avoids the contact. The bad part for the goalie, the clearance was poor. It lands at the feet of Wayne Rooney, and you already know what happened after that point. Nice little volley, puts this thing away, tucks everybody in. It's 5-0, a big win for DC United. They closed the gap on the Impact to just 2 points. So this is why they couldn't lose this game. The Impact had a 5-point lead on them. They lose that game. That lead, now the Impact are comfortable over that line. Now, DC United just 1 win behind them to overtake them for that final playoff position. And they've played 2 less games than them at this point. So keep that in mind. DC United's in a really good place as of right now. So since this new building opened, the Black and Red are 8-2-1 at Audi Field. Since July 14th, they don't lose there much. Even better, they are undefeated when Rooney and Acosta combined for a goal. They're 4-0. They're acting a fool. Back to Lucho real quick. In this game, he got 14th, 15th, and 16th assists of the season. Yeah, you heard that correct. He has 16 assists right now, and currently he's 5th place all-time in the assists in club history with 31. That's one heck of a year. He's been here for 2 years. He's putting in where he's acting a fool at this moment. So this is also the first time Black and Red scored 5 goals since 2016. Yeah.
That's a while.
So right now what's important for them is continue to play strong at home. The good thing, most of their main games are at Audi Field. For opposing teams, this is not a fun team to play right now. Again, you got your shot blocker back there to build. Montreal did have a couple of solid possessions, but you know how teams get hyped when you block a dunk or you punch somebody's shot, starts a fast break. Those are the type of saves this dude's making. It takes the air out the opponents. And more often than not, after he makes a save, they typically score afterwards. It doesn't always lead directly to one, but there's a surge in energy. So I mean, again, this is all stuff we've told you about. As you know, they've added these pieces. They're in a really good place. It's truly one of those things. It's really cliche, but if DC United can make the postseason, that's going to be a team nobody really wants to deal with at all in the least bit, because they're able to score so easily. Montreal, people talked about so much leading into this week, last week rather, that their defense is so tough. They move all on one string. Everyone moves together. It's hard to uncrack them. That's 5 goals. It didn't look like it was too hard for these guys. So shout out to the Black and Red for a big time win. We'll see if they can keep rolling. I'm looking forward to being back at Audi Field this Sunday at 1 p.m. All right, Cardell, Washington Wizards.
Yep. Preseason
action last night against Octavia's former team.
Why does it always gotta be Patty against me?
You thought you were free in this?
Come on, man. You know I go where he go. It's like, no.
You know what? I can't even knock him because that's literally like a Braun fan requirement. So Katie,
At least I'm honest about it. They be lying.
you are. That's
Yeah.
usually they lie.
They be like, no, I always like the Lakers.
Yeah.
I just put them as my number one team now. You know, that's all.
Not the two teams, the all-time two teams thing.
Yeah, I got like 5 of them, but now he
I
didn't.
got Eastern Conference team and the Western Conference. I'm sorry, Cardell.
I mean, you know, it's preseason. I just came in just trying to see guys kind of see what they can do. And that way, you know, you can kind of get a feel for what their roles will be on this team. We already kind of know who the starting 5 is. That's already set in stone. So we really just trying to see improvement with that starting 5, individual improvement, but also, you know, how everything will work as far as the depth of their bench. Because that would be key. You're not getting past Boston and Philly if, you know, it's still the starting 5 having to carry the load. And, you know, it was promising, you know, although against a young Knicks team, but I think a lot of people are going to be surprised by this Knicks team. Fizz still got the boys playing hard. You kind of saw first preseason game mix-up. Mitchell Robinson come in, he get into a Marquise Morris. He gets Marquise Morris ejected with 2 techs. He got down to his skin. And that just kind of to show you how hard they're fighting, how hard they're defending. And there's no, you know, in that game last night, there's no secret why they won the game. Even though the Wizards put up a lot of points, they were right there to win it. You know, the Knicks deserve to win that game. The young boys play harder down the stretch. I love the versatility of the team. There's so many positions as players. It's crazy. So it's going to be hard for teams to kind of, you know, just pinpoint who we're going to attack, who we're going to stick with, who we're going to put on, because you don't know. It could be Austin Rivers playing a point. Then they come in with Satoransky, who's 6'7". You see what I'm saying? Or they might have Oubre ringing it up, or Porter. People, you know, Porter's one of the guys that improved the most. I love his new ball handler. He's breaking guys down now, shooting jumpers. And even if Scott Brooks told them push the ball up, so that Bill and Wall can become scorers. It gives them another weapon, you know, when they're playing in transition, where teams it'd be hard for teams just to focus on instead of just having Wall bring the ball up all the time and set things up. You know, like I said, Austin Rivers, he may already be their best on-ball defender the way he straps. You know, I mean, he gets after it, and he obviously said it during media day, like that's going to be his focus coming in. You know, I'm going to try to lock down whoever that, you know, the top guard is or whatnot, and that's how you help a team. He's not coming, and then when he get his shots, knock him down. He's not coming in trying to, he understands what it is. It's Brad and Wall. So he's coming in trying to complement them. Kelly Oubre showed flashes of being a more complete player. You know, he finished with 15 points, 8 rebounds, and 4 assists. He was a little bit off shooting-wise, but you can see the aggressiveness getting to the line. Well, he didn't really get to the line. They didn't really call too much on the Wizards, but they called a lot of fouls last night, but that's a whole other story. 90 free throws in a preseason game is ridiculous, but yeah, but that's a whole other story. I love with Satoransky, how he looked. He looked more polished, more confident. There's no hesitation. He's just hooping, kind of like what we saw, you know, in the I think the World Cup thing this past summer. Also, you can tell he worked on his body. He's more explosive. He looks stronger. He looks quicker laterally. So I know last year teams kind of picked on him. We're going to attack him off the bounce, see if he can slide. He looked a little bit, you know, quicker and stuff like that because, you know, New York got some, you know, fearless, vicious guards. You know, I'm going to get to one later. You know, that's a rookie, but, you know, he more than held his own defensively. Troy Brown Jr., I was saying last night, he has Penny Hardaway symptoms. A lot of guys probably look at me like, man, please. I'm not saying he's Penny Hardaway. I'm saying he has symptoms. 6'7", his vision, the way he can handle the ball, how he can pass it, rebound, how he can score, his athleticism. That mix is scary. And even his flair, how he, you know, the wiggle in his game and stuff, you could tell it's Penny. It's like, man, like, and I don't even throw out those type of, you know, comparisons like that, but you can't help but see it. So now I'm kind of getting to understand why Scott Brooks and Ernie was like, yeah, we're going to get this kid, you know what I'm saying? And that's why you pay your scouting department. They get to see all these games, and they see all that your average fan will never see. So, you know, it looked like they kind of got a steal. If he continues to develop, it's going to be hard to get minutes at first, but keep working Brooks to find something for him. And Jordan McRae came off the bench, you know, one of the more explosive players on the team. You know, it was perfect from the field. You know, he could be a quality two-way player. I think he's going to make it tough on Brooks at the end of training camp, like on who to keep. He's definitely going to be in the mix. He played well yesterday. On the Knicks side, Kevin Knox. I know he got booed. Knicks fans, my suggestion would to keep booing draft picks because they always seem to pan out.
They always do.
Yeah, when y'all boo, when y'all happy, they don't do too well. So, But Kevin Knox, he's a player, natural scorer. He had a double-double, 13 and 10 in 26 minutes last night. Talented, 6'9", 6'10", wing, can shoot it, spot up, off the bounce, get to the lane, score, dunk on you, free throws, long defender, can rebound, can pass. You know, he got all the tools, man. It's just about him getting experience and just learning the NBA game. Once he get that, it's going to be a wrap. Alonzo Trier, got people in the area, should be no stranger to him. Used to play at Marshall's Christian in high school, average damn near 40. He's always been a professional scorer, and it translated last night. I mean, he scored at will, and it was tough buckets, 2-3 guys digging in on top of the defender and trying to stay in front of him, digging in, trying to strip the ball. He cuffing it, shooting runners, Folder scoring in a myriad of ways. His defensive intensity, man. Like, you know, I've been hearing rumblings coming from Knicks camp about how Fizdale's, like, he's grown on Fizdale to the point where Fizdale, like, not only will he make the team, he's going to be a higher rotation player, and he's doing it with hard work. So the way he can score the ball, if he consistently defends, yeah, he's going to be a favorite at Madison Square Garden. And Mitchell Robinson, he was one of the people I was eyeing for the Wizards to draft, you know what I'm saying, looking, you know, kind of scouting all these players and whatnot. He's already a defensive force, man. Like, he blocked a couple of shots. The next thing you know, you saw a couple of Wizards just avoid him. They drive to the lane, they keep him moving. He's long, athletic, tough. He makes, like I said, he got into it with Marquise Morris. Ain't back down 1 second. He was right there. Let's go. You know what I'm saying? Marquis got mad and he got ejected. The veteran fell for what a rookie should have fell for. You know, so that's not a good opening. Scott Brooks talked about that, like we got to hold our composure better. That was one of the problems last year, guys arguing and stuff like that. You saw a lot of guys losing their cool, even last night with the fouls. But, you know, you got to play through it. His presence, blocking defensively, rebounding, blocking shots, and finishing lobs, you know, DeAndre Jordan-esque. You know, he just got to get the experience and just keep playing. And his energy and high motor, I think he's going to be out there. He's going to get a lot of minutes, especially with Porzingis out. The Knicks got two rookies that are promising. Well, 3 actually that are promising, and they can make it exciting. And shout out to David Fizdale. He got those boys scrapping, playing hard. It's not going to be an easy win. They're going to be the team you look up third quarter, like, man, Lakers in town, LeBron, and they down at the third, and they got to play hard in the fourth to get the win. They're going to be hell to deal with, man. So, but that's going to be valuable experience for them. So when Porzingis come back probably next year, you know, you need to keep an eye on them.
Nah, I agree with everything you said wholeheartedly. As you kept talking about Fizdale, his big thing is Knicks DNA. Mm-hmm. Man, like you said, it's evident. It's easy. That's hard hat, lunch pail, all that cliche stuff. You're not going to enjoy playing them. You're going to feel them. As you talked about Trier, Fizdale obviously already likes the kid. He was saying last night. You know, let's talk about the ball movement with the team. He liked it, but he wasn't knocking Trier. He was like, some guys, they held the ball, but it's okay. Like, Trier was one of the guys who's like, he's such a talented scorer. We don't mind if he holds it a little bit longer. But everybody else, yeah, you need to keep moving the ball. You talk about Otto Porter already. I love his assertiveness. We heard on Media Day, Brooks said, told the media, if you see Otto passing up shots, yell at him, shoot it. It was hilarious to hear, but I feel like Otto, at least just one game last night, he heard that message is sunk in. He didn't pass up many shots, if any. He had 8 points in the first quarter, and as you said earlier, with the development, the work he's putting on his game, when he's assertive, it kind of messes up any plans you have of loading up on that backcourt. You just can't do it. If he's out there acting a fool and not passing up shots, knocking down those threes, that's usually the guy they cheat away from a little bit. What happens when you can't cheat? Now you're leaving John and Brad, it's even, it's honest, and you don't really want to do that. We got a glimpse. John only played 9 minutes, but even that 9-minute stretch, we did get to see one of those 3-guard lineups with John, Austin, and Brad. And what we saw defensively with those 3, they rejected the notion of being screened, which was different. Last year we saw so many times when opposing teams screened, the guards would just stop moving their feet. And again, small sample size, but I think keep an eye out. If this team truly wants to get better, especially on the defensive side, in this day and age in the NBA, with all the talented scorers they have in ball handlers, everyone, they get the screen, it's automatic switch. If you fight through it, it disrupts so much. You just have to fight through it. Because everybody can't switch on a screen like that. A lot of people want to, but it's not for everybody. For a lot of teams, I feel like it's a cop-out because you can't do it. You're just not good defensively. So why even? It's kind of like, I'm all Cardell. I tell you, he says screens is like, oh, well, that's somebody else's problem now. but we saw it willingly in the finals. No, you can't just do that. So I was encouraged by that. Again, it's just one game. I love the youngsters in New York already. And the Troy Brown thing, just piggyback what you said with the Penny thing. People don't get out of pocket, but you know, after you said that, like literally a couple minutes later, I was like, he got that Penny bop to that dribble. It's literally the same bop. It's a little high with it. It brought like a smile to me. I'm like, that's that guy. Like that's who Cardell brought up. And again, listening clearly, comprehension is important. I'm not saying Troy Brown's Penny Hardaway. Just saying there's some things in this game where we're
Symptoms.
likenesses, little pieces. But again, it was just one preseason game, extremely small sample size. We'll continue to see how things go. As always, you know, with all sports in this area, you know that we got credentials too. Get over to finestbag.com. Get over to mymodelsports.com. We'll see you guys next week right here on the Focus TV.
Shout out Markel. Keep going to work.
Man, it's quiet on that front, isn't it?
Yep.
All pull up everything last night. I was just giggling. But we'll see you guys next week.